Hey, how you doing? My name is Jeebs from the OTR Media Center, and lately I've been really enjoying a new rush of business that started off with just a couple tracks for a couple of hip hop producers, now coming into something pretty fun and very consistent. Is finalizing their mixes, track mixes, so that these hip hop producers of tracks can submit it to music supervisors, licensing groups, music libraries, direct to artists, and contests. There's a couple things I want to bring forth here that even if you're not coming to my studio and you're going to go look for another studio and an engineer, there's a couple tips for you that's going to save you time, money, energy, stress, and a good relationship with your studio or your engineer. And I can only speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure that some of these guys will probably agree with me too. Number one, ask the studio for the sample rate. When you export your tracks, because you decided to take some hard-earned money to get a couple of your tracks mixed, ask that question. Very important. Two reasons. Number one, if you didn't ask, you bring your tracks here to my studio and I have to convert that sample rate. The first basic thing that's going to happen there is it's going to take time, it's going to eat your money. If you know what the sample rate is of my studio and you export the tracks at the correct sample rate, we can drop your tracks in there and within 30 seconds to a minute we're working. If I have to convert your tracks to the sample rate that matches my studio, it can be anywhere from just 5 minutes but all the way up to a couple of hours depending on how many tracks are in a song or how many songs you want me to do. If you've sent me 5 or 6, all of a sudden I just ate up 3 hours of your money doing this conversion. And I want to make sure, at least for my clients, that my relationship is based on trust, that I'm going to look out for them as well and make sure that they spend their money wisely. You ask me, I'll tell you, your songs are up and running. But if you're out there doing it on your own and looking for other studios and stuff, make sure that you put that in your little checklist. Ask about the sample rate. The other reason for asking the sample rate is there will be a change in fidelity, how it sounds, if you don't match the rates. If I convert it from one to one that matches here, it's kind of a bone of contention with engineers. I subscribe to the fact that a lot of the fidelity that engineers kind of balk over have to do with what the dogs can hear. But there is some truth, and I'm sure I'm going to get some shit comments for that, but there is some truth that you will lose some of the fidelity. My personal experiences with hip-hop tracks, a lot of them are bites off of other samples, so the fidelity is kind of suspect in the first place. Okay, the second thing, and what I consider the most important thing, especially with what I do as an engineer, and I can only speak for myself here, but I'm sure some of these engineers will agree as well. Send me raw tracks. I do not want tracks with effects on them. No EQ, no compression, no delays, no choruses, no flanges, nothing. I want to give you the opportunity to ask of something of me, and I don't have to say no, we can't do that because you sent it to me this way. It's easier for an engineer to add things onto a track than to subtract. If you send me tracks with a bunch of effects on it, what ends up happening is when I do what I do as an engineer and I blow these tracks really fat and wide and you got some real sick dynamics and I'm able to do what I can with the EQs and kind of, sculpt, the tones and everything to make it work, and also looking out for the future, making sure that when I do this mix that I'm building a nice little kind of shape so that if an artist does drop in on this mix, I've given them a little pocket to hang in and they can mix in, their track. But if you give me all these effects and stuff and I blow these tracks out really wide and all of a sudden you're going to go, wow, that effect on that thing sounds like crap and now this thing sounds weird, guess what has to happen? You have to re-export those tracks out to me without the effects. Then I have to sync them back in, and then I have to do what I have to do in order to bring the mix back up to that level. That's more money, time, and energy. And for me to work with a producer and keep my integrity as an engineer and somebody who wants to make sure that that producer walks out of the studio with something powerful, is to not limit the options. And if you send me the tracks with all the junk on it, you're limiting my options to blow your track out even further. Now, if you really love it the way it is and you're just asking me to just make it pretty and just gleam it, yeah, I can do it. I'm not one of those engineers that has an opinion saying, well, I think you ought to do. No. My job is to make your stuff sound as sick as possible for presentation. So generally that's it. And just one last thing also about with coming in with raw tracks, I kind of highly doubt that you have the power that professional recording studios like mine and all the others out there that do what I do have with the outboard gear and the plugins and stuff. So your compressor from your stock plugins from Sonar are not going to be anywhere near the compressors that we use here. So to give you the most power and bang for your buck, if you would, by giving me the raw stuff. I can make it all sick over here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Generally this video is for my upcoming clients, but if you got a little something out of it, and those two things are really important. You take to your studios, your friends' houses, or other studios you got to take your stuff to. I think it's really important, and it'll make for a real cool time between you and the engineer in the studio and stuff. And I just like to be proactive that way. I know how hard you work for your tracks, your money to get this done, and frankly, I don't, if there's anything I can do in my studio to make your experience as mellow as possible, then that's what I'm all about. So that's it. Looking forward to seeing you in the studio, getting your tracks in my Dropbox. Let's get it on. All right, see ya.